Hello, and welcome in to another edition of The Swarm right here on the Hive Media. I realized halfway through that entry that I didn't even have my headphones on. Not that it really matters when I'm doing this, but I hope everyone is well. I hope everyone had a wonderful Christmas or holiday, if whatever you were celebrating. I hope it was a wonderful week and time spent with people close to you and all that fun stuff. Um, and I'm here to give you the swarm again on this Saturday morning here, the Saturday after Christmas, and a big Saturday because later on this evening at right before main card time, I would assume anywhere between 7:30, 7:45, somewhere around there. I know the last couple AEW watch alongs that I've been kind of the front man for, we usually start like as the last pre-show match is starting, so somewhere around there. But if you're watching Worlds End tonight, come on by right here on the Hive on our Twitch and YouTube. It'll be myself, it'll be Josh Robinson, and it will be Auntie Collins. It'll be a three-way dance for World's End this evening. We're going to be talking about that mainly to start this show here. We're going to be previewing that. Both WWE and AEW had their shows recorded this week for the holidays. And one of those companies actually put on good shows for the recordings of the shows, and the other one did their typical nothing is of substance at all. So we're not going to really talk much WWE. Next week, obviously, we'll kind of get back to that as we'll be just days before the big Raw, January 5th, with the world title match, couple title matches on that show. So we'll kind of be talking about WWE and all more there. Not a lot happened on that side of things. Not going to say Raw or SmackDown was bad because they weren't, but they just weren't important. You could have completely missed those shows and nothing really it wouldn't have changed anything for you. Whereas I thought the Christmas Eve edition of Dynamite was really, really solid. And I thought actually the Christmas night, I didn't watch it live, but I kind of watched it this morning as I was kind of hanging around. The Christmas edition of Collision last night might have been one of, if not the best Collision of the year. Real good stuff. Obviously, with the Continental Classic happening and kind of getting to its end, which we'll talk about on the pay-per-view here when we preview it in just a minute. When you have Continental Classic matches and the majority of the matches happening on your television show have stakes, that helps. That helps, and I think that was one of the big reasons why both these shows were so good. And you would think, oh, Christmas time, Christmas Eve, Christmas, they're just going to phone it in. They put on two really good episodes of television that you got your money's worth. If you took time out of your schedule on Christmas Eve and Christmas to watch these shows, they rewarded you with that viewing experience. Those shows were really, really good. So we're going to start with AEW. We're not going to talk about the stuff that happened on the show. We're just going to tell you the results of what happened in the Continental Classic and kind of how everything finished, because obviously 3 of the matches on the pay-per-view involve the Continental Classic, and we're going to be previewing that. So, but before we do anything, I would like to talk to you about our pals. As always, this episode of The Swarm is powered by our pals over at W Energy, the clean energy drink. Multiple flavors to choose from, and it's all clean. No sugars added. You don't get that jittery feeling after you drink some other energy drinks and stuff like that. This is just pure, clean energy. So whether you need a little pick-me-up for the work week, you got to cram in and study for exams or final, whatever you got to do, if you need a boost, our pals at W Energy are the team and the website you want to go to. And if you go to that website, w.gg, and you type in that promo code, The Hive, all one word, you will receive 10% off of your order. That is w.gg, promo code The Hive, 10% off your order. So go visit our pals, W Energy. No jitters, no sugars, just clean energy. All right. All right. So we had AEW Dynamite on 34th Street. Before we get to the Continental Classic stuff, there was a battle for the Dynamite Diamond Ring between Ricochet and Bandito, and this match was great. Very, very good. And Bandito ends up defeating Ricochet with the crucifix pin, and he wins the Dynamite Diamond Ring. After the match, Ricochet kind of beat Bandito down, but Brody King made the save. Yeah. So Bandito's got the ring, so that means that he will get a world title match at some point, and I think it would make sense. We'll talk about what I think is going to happen in the main event of World's End. But there's a certain fella in that main event in World's End who has won the Dynamite Diamond Ring every year of its existence. So I think it would be pretty fitting for Bandito to potentially challenge that fella for the world title since Bandito won the Diamond Ring. But we'll get there when we get there. So that was really good. And then really it was the Continental Classic stuff on Dynamite. I'm not going to go into all the matches, but the show opened up with Takeshita coming in with 7 points against Orange Cassidy, who had 6 in the Blue League. This match was very good, especially the last 5 to 6 minutes of this match. These dudes were cooking, man. This was really, really good. Takeshita could have clinched a spot in one of the semifinals with the victory, and that is exactly what he did. He hits a Raging Fire for the victory and gets 3 points. That gave him a total of 10, and he ends up winning the Blue League. So he is the number 1 seed in the semifinals for the Blue League, which we'll get to a little bit later. Mascara Dorada, then, who had 3 points, took on Roderick Strong, who had 0, who was still looking for his first 3 points. And they had a good one, too, as you would expect. And Mascara Dorada pulled out the victory. He hit the Shooting Star Press, pins Roderick Strong, so he moved up to 6 points, and Roderick stayed at 0. MJF, I should talk about this. MJF did make his return to the ring. It was a squash match for the most part, for basically against Dustin Waller, but it was really what happened after the match that we probably should talk about. So MJF grabs a mic. It looks like he's going to say something, but Adam Hangman Page is in the crowd. And then Shane Swerve Strickland, who is with Prince Nana, is also in the crowd. Hangman says that, we have a contractual agreement to not have no physicality. He goes, that got left behind in England, and now we're in Hammerstein Ballroom. So go ahead and say it. Make another lowbrow 1990s misogynistic bottom of the barrel joke at our expense, because I'm sure the casting agents of the movies you want to be in would love for you to hear you say that. He goes, now go ahead, compare one of us to another sex pest in the news because you got a whole slew to choose from. And MJF is kind of just like, okay. And Hangman says, regardless of what you say tonight, you're going to get your ass beat. And now at this point, Hanger and Swerve are at ringside, but Shibata and Hook, they come out, and they start getting, and they have the dojo, they have the Ops Dojo kids with them too. So there's a slew of people, and Strickland and Page basically cut through all of them to get to MJF. And then Samoa Joe shows up on the Tron. He goes, I see you're enjoying your training exercise I've set up for you guys. I sent the dojo guys to expose your true natures. He goes, I see all of you guys in the ring right now. Hatred is spread further than anticipated. And now that you have a moment of clarity, and you all stand where you stand, know that I'm coming for every single one of you, one by one. He goes, all your hopes and dreams of taking the title will come to an end at World's End. So do me a favor and hit that snappy catchphrase to send everyone home happy. And then MJF actually tries to blindside Hangman and Swerve, but Hangman hits him with the big lariat, then a house call from Swerve, and then Hangman chokes Max with the chain, And Swerve gets on the mic, and Swerve was really good here. He goes, I have something about MJF that he probably doesn't want us to know, but I'm going to say it anyway. He goes, Max doesn't hate the fans. He actually likes all of them, especially in New York City. He goes, he loves all the likes, comments, and retweets because it feeds his fragile little ego. He's our scumbag. No, he's not. Dueling chant that they start ringing out, and Swerve goes, he's about to be my scumbag. And the crowd's like, oh, shit. He goes, I've never met such a narcissistic piece of garbage as you, and I have power. And he goes, you have power and the toxic combination that makes. I didn't like how they referenced this guy 2 weeks in a row, but he goes, that makes him more of a Diddy than Swerve will ever be. Because obviously a week before MJF cracked the Diddy joke to Swerve. How about we just don't say his name at all? That'd be all right. That'd be all right. And then he goes, so let's talk about the victims of MJF and why Swerve will be above them. And he brings up the Pinnacle. He brings up Wardlow. He brings up Jay White. And he goes, and my good friend Adam Cole. So he brings up a lot of MJF's past. And he says, all of them have fell victim and are worse off after dealing with MJF's bullshit. He goes, and I'll always be greater because whether enemy or ally, and he kind of stares right at Hangman after he says that, and they have like a stare down, and the crowd was like, this is what we want. He goes, I don't care where MJF goes, whether it's in a wrestling ring, acting, or as a damn husband, I'm a better human being than Max ever will be. And then he does the Who's House. And then Samoa Joe basically says, hey, Max, I'll see you at World's End. Because him and they had, Joe hasn't really answered Max that much. But so that happened kind of, MJF kind of got his comeuppance, which we'll talk about at the end of the show, at the end of the World's End preview, because, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. And then there was one other Continental Classic match to end Dynamite. This was a very good match. It was Jungle Man. I still want to call him Jungle Boy, but Jungle Man Jack Perry against Pac. I thought Pac was going to win this one, clearly was going to win it. But Jungle Man, Jack Perry had a victory roll pin, and in my eyes, he upset Pac. But this match was excellent. Jungle Boy just, got thrown into this because of an injury, and he's just balling out. It was a really good match. I suggest catching up on all those matches because when you get over to Collision, which was on Christmas night, that man again, Jungle Jack Perry, he was in a bout with Kyle Fletcher. So when Jack Perry won that match on Dynamite, every single person in the Gold League had 6 points. Every single person had 6 points, which was pretty wild. As you saw all the wrestlers with 6 points, it was like, oh, damn. So they really had a lot of intrigue and going to this last show before the pay-per-view when the whole Gold League was tied at 6. And the show started with Kyle Fletcher and Jack Perry. And these, listen, I could say it all the time, but fantastic match. And Kyle Fletcher defeated Jungle Boy. Jack Perry hit the running kick and the brain buster for the win. He gets 3 points, which brought him to 9, and it officially eliminated Jack Perry with 6 points. Then we were in the Blue League. Takeshita defeated Mascara Dorada, so Takeshita actually ended with 13 points overall, and Dorada was eliminated with this match with 6. And then Claudio went up against Roderick Strong. And Claudio, if he wins, he's in. It's Takeshita and him. If he's in, he's in. But this was a huge upset. Roderick Strong, who had 0 points going into this match. Claudio had 7. He had 2 wins in the draw with Takeshita. Roderick upset Claudio here, and he beat him. So Roddy gets 3 points, so he gets a win. He doesn't get shut out, which is nice. And Claudio technically was still alive with 7 points. If everybody else lost, he would still make it. I thought that was pretty good. After the match, Wheeler Yuta, Daniel Garcia, they come out, they beat up Roderick Strong. Marina Shafir is kind of watching. You know, obviously she's married to Roddy, which is well known, and she was just kind of watching and not caring really that her hubby was getting his ass kicked and in pain in there. Mark Briscoe makes the save. Shafir steps up to Mark Briscoe, but then Toni Storm runs in, and she has a fistful of pearls, and she punches Shafir. And then there was kind of a celebration. Mark Briscoe kissed Toni Storm on the hand, and it was a bunch of stuff right there. Stokely Hathaway accepted a challenge for the tag titles for FTR from the Bang Bang Gang at World's End. And he said that FTR won't be held responsible for what happens in the Chicago street fight. So that's happening. And then let me tell you guys, this match right here. Gold League, it was Pac and Kevin Knight. Outstanding. Kevin Knight, man, just outstanding. This ended in a draw. This one ended in a draw. They went the full 30 minutes. Really good stuff. Back and forth. There was a spot where Kevin Knight was running towards the corner and Pac caught him and kind of, when they catch him and go into like a belly-to-belly overhead suplex. And Kevin Knight, in one rotation, spun and hit the back of his head on the turnbuckle to the outside. What a spot. Tremendous spot. But yeah, these two put on a good one, man. 30 minutes back and forth. We get the draw. So they end up with 7 points each at this point. So still alive, technically, in the Gold League at this point. And then we had Jon Moxley and Orange Cassidy. Both men coming in with 6 points. So a pivotal match to really, I think the winner of this match would have been in the driver's seat or would be in the driver's seat to potentially finish second now that Claudio had lost earlier in the night. Good match we've seen before, but another good match between these two. And Jon Moxley, he had a roll up on Orange Cassidy. He gets the 3 points, which brings him to 9 overall, and Orange Cassidy is officially eliminated at 6 points. And then we had the main event of the evening, a big-time rematch from Revolution. Kazuchika Okada and Speedball Mike Bailey, fantastic. Speedball and Kevin Knight really just, in this tournament, they elevated themselves big time, in my opinion. As to like why they were signed, and they're a great tag team. I really enjoy Jet Speed, but those dudes are, man, my God. And Kazuchika Okada did get the victory, so he moved to 9 points, and Bailey was officially eliminated with 6 points. So we end the Continental Classic in the Blue League. Konosuke Takeshita went 4-0-1, and he had 13 points, which secured him the number 1 seed. Jon Moxley went 3-2, which got him the 2nd seed at 9 points. Claudio finished with 7. Orange Cassidy and Mascara Dorada both with 6, and Roderick Strong had 3 points. And then over in the Gold League, Kyle Fletcher and Kazuchika Okada both finished with 9 points, but Kyle Fletcher won the tiebreaker because he won the match with Okada head-to-head. I believe it was each of their first matches in the tournament. So Fletcher ends up with the 1 seed. Okada ends up with the 2 seed. Both Pac and Kevin Knight went 2-2-1, and they ended up with 7 points. And then both Speedball Mike Bailey and Jack Perry ended up 2-3. Obviously, one of those losses for Perry was from Darby Allin in the first match to Kevin Knight. They ended up with 6. So the Gold League was a lot closer in standings, but just another great Continental Classic, and we will find out how that goes on Saturday evening at World's End. It is in Chicago, Illinois, so it's going to be a hot crowd. Everyone's going to be pumped and ready. And we're going to start there. We're going to start there because we just talked about it. We have the 2 semifinal matches in the Continental Classic. We have the number 1 seed in the Gold League, Kyle Fletcher, going one-on-one with the number 2 seed of the Blue League, Jon Moxley. I don't think we've seen that. These are all heels, by the way. All 4 guys in the tournament that are in the semifinals right now are all heels. So it'll be fun to see how the crowd, where their alliances go. I think in the other match, I think one of those gentlemen, Takeshita, will be the overwhelming fan favorite. But I'm interested to see how things go because they're all heels. But we have Fletcher and Moxley. I don't think this is a match we've seen before, or it's at least a match that I don't remember happening before. I think I think Kyle Fletcher should win this match. I think Jon Moxley should put Fletcher over here. Obviously, I'm not going to be shocked if it goes the other way. But I think Takeshita is going to go through multiple people of his own Don Callis family to win this. And then we can kind of talk about how this goes moving forward after that. But I think Kyle Fletcher is going to defeat Jon Moxley. Not really sure how, if it's just on the level, he just just beats him regular, or there's some chicanery, some nonsense. I'm not sure. But I just see Kyle Fletcher in the finals. So I'm picking Kyle Fletcher to defeat Jon Moxley. Then on the other side, they have been building to this for months. And I thought that they were leaning to the point where this would be the final, but it's not the final. They are giving this to us. I think this should open the show. They are giving this to us in the semifinal. And with Okada being the Continental Champion, technically, if he loses this match, the titles will be vacated until the winner of the final and we get a new champion. Because technically, if Okada still wins the whole thing, it's not a new champion. He just kind of retains. Again, convoluted, but it is what it is. But it is Kazuchika Okada going up against Konosuke Takeshita. Again, we have been building to this for months now, this slow build, and it is finally here in the semifinal. And I think this goes one of 2 ways. I think Okada either cheats and kicks him in the penis, and that helps him beat Takeshita. But what I think is going to happen, what I more than likely see happening, is Takeshita defeating Okada in this match and moving on to the final, which later on in the evening would be Takeshita versus Fletcher, one-on-one, Don Callis family again, to crown a new Continental Champion and Continental Classic winner. And I think Konosuke Takeshita will defeat Kyle Fletcher, and I think he will win the Continental Classic. That is what I feel like will happen, which would, I think, guarantee him a world title match at some point as well. Is that right? Am I wrong? Is that just the Owen? I don't know. But I think Takeshita is going to win. And I don't know if it happens right on this show, or maybe they wait till Dynamite and they have a Don Callis celebration. I think that's when the Callis family turns on Takeshita. And then I think Takeshita's a full-blown babyface, and it's him and then they set up more him and Okada, him and Fletcher. You could just do whatever. But I think that's how this is going to go. That's the vibe I get. Great Continental Classic, and these 2 matches, I mean, it should just be really, really good. So that's going to be 3 of the matches. And as of right now, we have 10 matches. It looks like 9 are on the main card. 1 is on the pre-show. I know we already talked about 3 of them, so that's cool. The pre-show match is the Sisters of Sin, Julia Hart and Sky Blue, taking on Hyann and Maya World. Very good for them to get on the AEW card. So that's cool to see them, but that's, the Sisters of Sin should win that match. And I think they will. We talked about, obviously, the Continental Classic. One of the matches that was added on here this week or late last week, one of the newer matches, is Darby Allin has been cleared by medical to return, and he will be taking on one-on-one Gabe Kidd. Look at this is going to be a violent match. Gabe Kidd wrestles very violent. I wouldn't be shocked if there's weapons involved. It is just a regular singles match, but I wouldn't be shocked if it turns into chaos. I expect Darby to take some crazy bumps because it's what he does. But I also think Darby Allin will win this match. I don't think there's a need for Gabe Kidd to go over here. So I'm picking Darby. That's what I'm doing. We then had, which was announced last night on Collision, we have some mixed nuts mayhem. So we have the Death Riders, Claudio Castagnoli, Daniel Garcia, Wheeler Yuta, and Marina Shafir taking on the conglomeration, which will be Mark Briscoe, Orange Cassidy, and Roderick Strong. And they will be joined by the timeless one, timeless Tony Storm. This should be a lot of fun. This should be a lot of fun. I hope the ladies don't just wrestle. AEW is usually a little bit better about it, but I want the ladies in there with the dude. I want everyone beating up everybody. Marina, Tony, they are definitely badass enough and definitely good enough. They should be fighting some of the dudes. This is going to be a lot of fun. There will be weapons. It is mixed nuts mayhem, they're calling it. So I expect this to be a plunder all around the arena type thing that they do here. And this should be a lot of fun. I'm picking Timeless. I feel like the Death Riders could use it, but I also think Timeless Tony Storm is going to get the win here. So I'm picking the conglomeration and Timeless Tony Storm. I think actually Timeless Tony Storm will get the victory, but that is where I am leaning here. But this match is going to be a fucking riot, dude. Mark Briscoe, OC, Roderick, and the Death Riot time. Like, that's a great team. That's a fun. Think about the funnest times you have when you watch AEW, like television or shows. I mean, Mark Briscoe, Orange Cassidy, and Timeless Tony. And this is not a slight at Roderick. Roderick is one of the best wrestlers in the world, but the characters of Briscoe, Orange Cassidy, and Timeless Tony Storm, those three teaming up, that's like the funnest trio maybe in the cup. Like, that's a fucking riot, dude. That match is that's gonna be a lot of fun. All right. We have a Chicago street fight for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. It is FTR with Stokely defending against the Bang Bang Gang, which is Juice Robinson and Austin Gunn, with Ace Austin, it says. So, all right, that's cool. That's somebody to watch out for in AEW in 2026. Ace Austin is going to he's going to ball out, dude. I have FTR winning this one, but I also think we could see some returns. I think there's potential, if he's healthy, that we maybe see a Jay White return at some point here tonight or on this show. However, what I think will happen is I think FTR is going to win. And then I could see FTR beating down the Bang Bang Gang after the match or doing something after the match. And I think we could see Adam Copeland and Christian make a return because we don't have an AEW pay-per-view in January. We don't have a pay-per-view until Revolution. I think my tag match that I would have for FTR and those tag titles at Revolution would be against Copeland and Christian. I think we are going to get that match again, and I think it will be for the tag titles. And I think probably Copeland and Christian are going to get a run here at some point with these AEW Tag Team Championships. So I think there's potential that we could see them return after this match. Either if there's a celebration or they're beating somebody, I don't know, but I just get that vibe that I think that's going to happen. I really do. Then we have the Women's World Tag Team Championship match. This is a straight up match. And it is the champions, the Babes of Wrath, Harley Cameron versus Willow Nightingale. And they will be taking on again. I didn't think we'd see this team again, but they will be taking on Mercedes Moné and Athena. This is a rematch from the first round of the AEW Women's World Championship Tournament. As going into that match, anybody that told you they thought the Babes of Wrath were going to win that first round match, they are a liar. I'm glad they did. And I'm glad that they went with the Babes of Wrath. I love them. Nobody thought that they were beating Mercedes and Athena. Nobody did. And if they told you they did, like I said, they are not being truthful. They're not being truthful. But I think they're going to beat them again. I don't know if it'll be dissension or maybe there's miscommunication because I still think Athena is a primetime player to be the one to take the TBS title off of Mercedes. I really do. But I believe, I think the Babes of Wrath are going to win. I think there's going to be a miscommunication or Billy Starr. I don't know. But we are in the middle of the downfall of Mercedes Moné. She's down to 10 belts. Already lost 4 of them in the last month and a half. That is going to continue. Technically wouldn't lose a title here, but going for a title and losing it continues the downfall. I could see, especially if she loses, maybe Athena gets pissed off at Mercedes. I just feel like we're getting Mercedes she's losing these titles to, like, so far in the matches that she's lost to, she's losing to people that she beat. Not necessarily, like, not for the, like, she's losing to the people that she beat to get all these titles. So she did beat Athena multiple times, especially for the TBS title. Then she beat her for, they beat her in the tournament, the Owen tournament earlier in the year. I think she's going to return the favor to Athena as well during this. And I think this is a good way to lead to that. So I could see that happening. And then we have our 2 world title matches. And boy, oh boy, let me tell you, I am looking forward to this one. It is a singles match for the AEW Women's World Championship. It is the champion, Chris Statlander, going one-on-one with Jamie Hayter. I would love Jamie Hayter to win this match. I love Jamie Hayter. She lost the world title a while ago, but she was banged up and injured, so it was like, she lost it technically, but it's really going for the title that she never really lost, kind of thing. These 2 women are going to beat the piss out of each other, and I am going to love every second of it. This is going to be strikes, hard-hitting, just violent. This is going to be good. This is my kind of match. This is right up there at the top of my list for matches I am most excited for on this show. I really think this match is going to kick all sorts of ass and be, if not the match of the night, right up there in the discussion for the match of the night. But I think Statlander will retain again. And I think you're going to be looking at Chris Statlander, who wins the title, and her first 3 title defenses on pay-per-views are beating Toni Storm clean, beating Mercedes Moné clean, and beating Jamie Hayter clean. And I think that is a way to really establish that Statlander is a monster champion. And she's as good as we all know she is. Yeah. This match is gonna kick some ass, man. I'm very excited for this match. I would love to see Hayter pull it out, but I don't think it's time. Yet. I think Statlander retains. And then we have our main event of the evening. It is a 4-way for the AEW World Championship match. This was originally a 3-way with Samoa Joe, Hangman Adam Page, and Swerve Strickland. But we saw a couple weeks ago MJF returned, and he cashed in the Casino Gauntlet Championship contract to add himself to this. And so now it is a 4-way. And I think MJF's winning. I think MJF is winning this world title. For me, it's between Joe and MJF. I don't think Swerve or Hangman are winning this match. Whether they end up becoming a tag team out of this after, or whether they end up kind of miscommunicating and maybe they end up going after each other, I don't know. But I think for me, it's either Samoa Joe retains or MJF wins, and I'm leaning MJF. I know MJF has been he's a heel. He's a massive heel. I love the look on him. I know people are talking about, I love the new hair. I love everything. I love everything about the presentation of MJF since he's been back. I think he cashes in like he did to win. And I'm interested to see where it goes, because MJF really, since he's returned, he cut a heel promo, He's kind of being a babyface a little bit. That whole segment with Swerve and Hangman and the way they treated MJF and did all that. Now, MJF's a piece of shit. So when you're watching it, you're like, oh, he kind of deserves that. He's a piece of shit. But it was like a really babyface thing, the way they did it, where he was like, him cashing in the champion. And I know he had to do it 7 days in a row, 7 days in advance. So it kind of changes the spur of the moment type thing. But him cashing in and inserting himself to make that's a babyface move. No, I won't just beat one of you. I'll beat 3 of you. It's a babyface move. So I'm interested. I'm interested to see where they kind of go with this, but I think MJF wins. And then and again, MJF lost the title to Samoa Joe. So I think him beating Samoa Joe even if he pins Samoa Joe to do it. Like, I just think there's a lot you can do, and then you can set up the MJF and Swerve one-on-one. You can set up Hangman and MJF again, but for the title with Hangman chasing it one-on-one. There's just a lot of ways you can go. There's a lot of ways you can go. So I am picking Maxwell Jacob Friedman to win and leave World's End as the AEW World Heavyweight Champion. And that is what World's End is. Right now, again, 10 matches, not bad at all. For AEW, that's a little light. That's a little light. Don't hate it. I think it's going to be very good. I think it's going to be very, very good. And I'm excited about it. AEW usually doesn't miss with their pay-per-views. I don't think this is going to miss either. Wouldn't be shocked, like I said, if we saw, I almost called him Edge, but if we saw Copeland and Christian return, Jay White as well feels like a guy that should hopefully be coming back soon if he's healthy. So I think they're going to give us a couple big returns to kind of kick us off into 2026. But I expect this to be a really, really good show. Really, really good show. And I'm looking forward to it. And I'm looking forward to being here with Auntie and Josh and having a good time. And I'm looking forward to being here with you guys. So if you're watching the show, come on by, hang out. I'm sure it'll be a great time. It'll be a great, great time. All right. Now let's transition over to the world of professional sports, shall we? My Red Sox made a trade since the last time we spoke. We made a trade for Wilson Contreras, first baseman for the St. Louis Cardinals. A good player. Good player. We didn't really give up a ton. We gave up Hunter Dobbins, who I actually liked last year. He was banged up a lot. But we gave up pitching depth. We gave up Hunter Dobbins and a couple other prospects to get him. He's a really good defender over at first base. He's a good hitter. I think he'll probably bat anywhere in the 3 to 6, like in that 3 to 6 window for us. Not a huge power guy, but a good hitter at Fenway. I think he'll spray a lot off the wall. Again, he's a good player. He's a good player. But I still think the Red Sox, we're not good enough yet. We're not good enough yet. Basically, reports were that us acquiring him kind of took us out of the Ketel Marte, whatever was going on there. So that is what it is. We are said to still be talking with Bregman. You bring Bregman back, your defense on the corners of the infield is excellent. You play Meyer at second, and you got Story at short, or you can actually, I would kind of swap them because I thought Story's defense towards the end of the year was not the best. I would actually swap them. Again, I don't think it's still good enough, but it's better. It's better than what it was looking. Contreras is a huge upgrade over Casas or whatever the first baseman situation looked like towards the end of last year. I just still think you're a bat away. You need to get one more big bat in the middle of the lineup. That's just how I view it. Again, I don't hate Sonny Gray, the player. I don't hate Wilson Contreras, the player. When you tell me, Mr. Breslow, that you're getting a legit number 2 starter and we need to get an impact bat in the lineup, while both of those players are good players, and I think the Red Sox are better for having them on the team, those are not the impact guys that you were talking like you were going to get. So, yes, they're improvements, but we are nearly not good enough. And every other team has gotten better in the division. The Orioles signed Pete Alonso. The Blue Jays brought in Dylan Cease. They're probably going to bring back Bo Bichette, it's looking like. I don't know what's going on with Kyle Tucker, but they're going to be equally as good as they were last year, if not a little bit better. The Yankees are going to be the Yankees with the big payroll. They're going to be there. The Rays have made some moves. Like I said, the Orioles, I expect a better year from Adley Rutschman, who struggled last year. They had a lot of those young kids that were great 2 years ago. They fell back to earth last year. So I expect them to naturally probably be a little bit better. And you just added a guy who's going to hit 40 to 45 home runs right in the middle of that lineup. So they're better. And again, not saying we haven't improved a little bit, but we are falling behind, not just and I think even though I love Roman Anthony, and he is my tribal chief, I do love him, and he's a stud, and within the next year or two, he's going to be a top 10 player in the league. That's a lot. If we don't add more, That's a lot of pressure you're putting on a 21-year-old who hasn't even played a full season yet. Like, oh, well, we're expecting you to be even better than you were last year. Well, it's like, yeah, yes, we are. And I think, but what we saw last year, he might be. But that's a lot of pressure. Or do you think Marcelo Meyer is, oh, well, we expect, I just feel like the kids are up. The kids looked really good last year. There's a lot of reason to be optimistic about the team. We made the playoffs, which I don't think halfway through that year anybody was expecting, especially after you traded Devers. But we need a guy in the middle. If you look at the Red Sox lineup right now, there's no, but who are you not pitching to? There's nobody that can hit 30. I mean, Story maybe 25, 30. You need a guy in the middle of the bat, in the middle of the lineup that can hit 40. Let's get 35 to 40. We don't have that guy. We had that guy, and we traded him. And now the guy that we traded him for might not even fucking be here. So go get that guy. I don't know how you have to do it, Craig. And I know it's not all you. The owner sucks and he's cheap and he doesn't want. Find the guy. Because we need the cleanup hitter to hit 40 home runs. And don't try to convince me on players that are already here. And don't even mention Tristan Casas' name, because I will drive to Fenway. I will drive to Fenway with a letter. I will drive to Fenway. It's not far from me. I will drive to Fenway with a very strongly worded letter if you even try to mention or convince me that Tristan Casas is going to be that guy, because kiss my ass. All right. That's the baseball minute. And now it's time. Let's talk about some football, huh? My New England Patriots clinched a playoff spot last week. Happy days are here again. They had a big come-from-behind victory, down 11 points in the fourth quarter to the Baltimore Ravens. So I know we're not having a great year, 7-8. They're not. I get it. But that was kind of the one thing that was missing from this Patriots, And I get it. People are going to say, easy schedule. Yeah. You know who else has had an easy schedule this year? The Broncos. Nobody says shit. You know who else has had a pretty easy? The Rams. There are some other easy, Pittsburgh. Nobody says shit about them, but the Patriots, shut up. But Sunday night, the one thing that we hadn't seen Drake May really do was a come from behind. It looks like we're going to lose, and they pull it out of their ass kind of win. And that's what this game was. Not pull it out of their ass, but you know what I mean. Drake May in the first half was awful. Not good. Terrible interception near the goal line. Awful sack fumble and a crowd of people. It looked like he was trying to do something. He just was not good in the first half. And then we were down 10 points in the third quarter, and I was like, damn, Drake hasn't been that good the last, 2 or 3 games. Like, is he hitting the wall? Like, damn it, what's going to go on? But in that fourth quarter, man, he was nails. He was nails in that fourth quarter. He just turned it up a gear, hit Kyle Williams on a beautiful bomb catch, touchdown pass, which Drake's hit 6 or 7 of those this year. Just unbelievable. And then he led a great drive all the way down, which Ramondre Stevenson capped off with a 26 or 27-yard touchdown run. And then the defense made a great play. Kavon Chasen, who's been excellent this year. What a pickup. Zay Flowers caught a ball over the middle, and he came from behind from the line and punched it out, and we recovered, and we ended up, and then Drake May sealed it with the big quarterback run, and we got our win to go to 12-3, and we clinched ourselves a playoff spot, which you love to see. And the Patriots will be the first game I talk about, but we did have 3 games on Christmas Day, 3 games that did not matter at all. None of these teams besides Denver is making it in the playoffs. But the Dallas Cowboys in the early game went into Washington and defeated the Commanders on the road. Dak threw for 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. Krosky Merritt for Washington had a good game, over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. Then in the middle game, the Minnesota Vikings with Max Brosmer beat the shit out of the Detroit Lions. 23-10, just a dreadful game for the Lions. They probably weren't going to make the playoffs either way, but they at least had a prayer if they won the game. Did not go well. They are now 8-8, and they are eliminated from the playoffs. Goff threw for under 200 yards. There was a terrible offense. The refs were not good in this game. Terrible offensive PI call on Amon St. Brown, which was stupid. It was just a bad game all around. This was the worst game of the three by far. Yeah. And then the night game, closer than I thought it would be because the Chiefs were basically in, forfeit mode. But the Broncos went into Kansas City and they defeated the Kansas City Chiefs 20-13. So they improved to 13-3. They maintained the number one seed in the AFC. Yeah, so that was the 3 games yesterday. We do have 2 games today. So if you're watching this on Saturday morning, there are 2 Saturday games. And they're both, I mean, the early one is definitely a lot better from like a record standpoint and a playoff situation standpoint, but they're both pretty good games. The early game, we have the Houston Texans, who are 10-5, going to Los Angeles to take on the 11-4 Los Angeles Chargers. I expect the Chargers to win this game and go 12-4 here. Chargers have an outside chance of getting the number one seed. So right now, the only teams that I think can get the number one seed are the Broncos, the Patriots, the Jaguars, and the Texans. Not the Texans, the Chargers. Pending on how that goes. But the Chargers really, they would need the Broncos to lose this, which they already didn't do. So they would need the Broncos because I believe they play each other in the last game. I think the last game of the year is the Chargers and Broncos. So they will need the Broncos to lose next week, and then they'll need to beat the Broncos in the last week. So they're a real outside chance. It's really just the Patriots, the Broncos, and the Jaguars that could end up with the one seed, really. But the Chargers, if they win the division and beat Denver, they could. But I'm gonna pick the Chargers here. I didn't like what I saw out of the Texans offense. Nico Collins and CJ Stroud last week both stunk, mainly because Stroud stunk. I didn't like what I saw out of the offense last week. But the Texans have been playing good football for the most part for the better half of the last month and a half or so. The Chargers have just been good all year. But I expect the Chargers to win. I do. Then Saturday night on Peacock, we have the Tyler Huntley-led Baltimore Ravens heading to Green Bay to face the Green Bay Packers, who are 9-5-1. The Packers coming off a heartbreaking loss last week to the Chicago Bears in overtime. I think the Packers right the ship. If Lamar was playing, even though he clearly didn't look like the regular Lamar that we are used to, I would think it could have been close, and I would have maybe thought about picking Baltimore in the upset. But I think Green Bay wins this game. So I'm picking the 2 home teams in the Saturday game. Then we fast forward to the Sunday 1 o'clock games. We will start with my New England Patriots. They are traveling to New York to face the 3-12 New York Jets. The Patriots have like 5 or 6. They have no Kayshon Boutte. There's another no Mac Hollins. Couple offensive linemen are down. So they're a depleted bunch on the offensive side of things, but the Jets are just so bad that I think that this is a game that they should absolutely win no matter what. So I think the Patriots go in there, they handle business. They are 7-0 on the road this year, so finish it off, have a perfect road record, and why don't we just kind of go from there? But I think they should win. The Jets, in my opinion, are the worst team in the league. They are dreadful. And there we go. We have the 9-6 Pittsburgh Steelers going to Cleveland to face the 3-12 Browns. The Browns will stay tough because their defense is great. I think Myles Garrett is having a Hall of Fame type season. He's going to break the sack record. I think he's going to do it in 16 games, which would be in this game. With that being said, I expect the Steelers to win this game. Yeah, I hate saying it, but I expect the Steelers to win this game. We have the 5-10 New Orleans Saints traveling to Tennessee to take on the 3-12 Titans. Saints are actually all right. I'll tell you what, Tyler Shuck is not bad. He can move the ball. He doesn't make a ton of mistakes. I actually think the Saints have become pretty watchable, like a watchable bad team over the last couple months with Shuck in there. But for some reason, I think the Titans are winning this. I don't know why. They stink. But I just think they're going to win it. So I'm going with Tennessee. Don't know why. But I'm going with Tennessee. We have the 7-8 Tampa Bay Buccaneers heading to Miami to take on the 6-9 Miami Dolphins. Miami has benched Tua. They are playing Quinn Ewers, who started last week. Look at, if the Buccaneers have any hope of winning the division, they need to win this game. And they have to hope that Carolina loses. So, in my opinion, I think Tampa Bay is going to, in the Battle of Florida, I think Tampa Bay is going to hold serve. They have not been playing well. They were 5-1, and me and CJ both were like, Baker Mayfield is going to win the MVP. Like, he's an MVP favorite right now. I picked the Buccaneers to go to the NFC Championship game before the season started. And then 6 or 7 weeks through the season, I was like, hell yeah. And then they have fallen off a cliff. Now, injuries, sure, but they have fallen off a cliff. But I think they're going to right the ship. The Dolphins are bad. I think the Buccaneers go in there and they win. Then we have, this is a good game. We have the 12-3 Seattle Seahawks, who are the number 1 seed currently in the NFC, winning the NFC West. They are traveling to Carolina to take on the postseason clinched Carolina Panthers, baby. My Carolina Panthers. Knew it was happening. I've been with them all year. CJ was giving me so much shit, and I was like, look at them, they're frisky. Well, guess what? They're going to make the damn playoffs. They made the playoffs, the Carolina Panthers. Seattle should win this game. Let's be real. Although, listen, Carolina at home, they took out the Rams, who were like unstoppable. If Carolina wins this game, would I be 100% shocked? Absolutely not. They're just one of those teams, man. They hang around, they play tough, even in they're a team that the Patriots beat them like 56-12, whatever the hell it was, in week 5, and everyone was like, well, they're the Panthers, they're still shitty. But now it's like that win looks better every week. They made the playoffs, for crying out loud. We beat them by 40. But regardless of that, I think the Seahawks are a far better team. Talent-wise, coaching-wise. I'm going to pick the Seahawks. I think and I get it, 12-3. The 7-point spread for Seattle, I think that's a bit disrespectful. I feel like it should be 4 or 5 because Carolina is frisky, but Seattle is the better team. I don't want to, but I'm going to pick Seattle to go in there and handle business. And the last 1 o'clock game that we will discuss. Oh, I missed one. My bad. Not the last one. We have the Arizona Cardinals, 3-12, traveling to Cincinnati to take on the 5-10 Bengals. This game means nothing, but I expect Joe Burrow and company to put up a boatload of points. The Cardinals are going to fire their coach. They're just limping to the finish here. Jacoby Brissett has actually played pretty well, though. Probably earned himself a job next year, either as a starter or a backup somewhere, obviously. But he's actually played all right. But I expect the Bengals to win and kind of handle business and put up a lot of points because that's just what they do. And then we have the last game of the 1 o'clock window, the best game of the 1 o'clock window. We have the 11-4 Jacksonville Jaguars traveling to Indy to take on the 8-7 Indianapolis Colts. The Colts are clinging to their playoff lives. I have to say it. I have been off the Trevor Lawrence. I was never on it, but I've been off the Trevor Lawrence train for the better part of 2 years. Even last week I was on here saying that he stinks still and that I don't buy him. Listen, the last 6 weeks, he's been nails, man. He's been nails. The last 2 weeks in particular, 2 of the best games I've seen any quarterback play in the league the last couple years. He's been excellent. And I don't know if he's actually turned a corner or he figured it out. I'm not sure. But if he ends up playing this way, that's a dangerous team. That's a dangerous team because their defense is good. They have playmakers in the backfield. They have a good offensive line. I think the coach might be good. It's his first year, but the coach seems to be good. Jaguars are scary if Trevor Lawrence plays that way. If he figured it out, shit. That's a good team. I've been impressed with Trevor Lawrence. I'm not fully bought in. I kind of feel the same way about him that I do. I just feel like that game last week, that was a tough game on the road in Denver. I feel like if that was even the first month and a half of the season, he throws like 2 picks, fumbles it, makes a dumbass decision, and he just didn't do that last week. He made play after play after play, and they punched Denver in the mouth. That was as impressive a performance as I've seen this year in the whole league, what Jacksonville did in Denver last week. And we'll see. But Trevor Lawrence is shutting my ass up a little bit. And I'll take it. I'll take it. But Trevor Lawrence is shutting my ass up a little bit. So we'll see how I feel next week when we're here. If he continues to shut my ass up or if I can go back to being the number one anti-fan, which I don't think I am. But I've been impressed with Trevor Lawrence. I expect the Jaguars to win that game, put the Colts to bed. I think the Colts were going to miss the playoffs even if Danny Dimes didn't get hurt. They were already trending bad. Jonathan Taylor obviously slowed down. He wasn't going to keep that pace all year. And then we saw Danny Dimes start to struggle and get banged up a little bit. I think even if he was here the whole time, they might be 9-6 going into this game instead of 8-7. But I felt like they were still trending downward before, obviously, the unfortunate injury. So I'm not really shocked about this, but I expect the Jaguars to win. All right, then there's only 2 4:00 games. One of them might be the worst game of the year, and one of them is one of, if not the best game of the weekend. So we have the 2-13 Giants, who are 0-8 on the road, traveling to Las Vegas to take on the 2 look at this game fucking sucks, man. To travel to Vegas to take on the 2-13 Raiders, who are 1-6 at home. So somebody's got to win this game. Who? I don't know. But somebody needs to win this game. This is dreadful, dude. This is a dreadful game. The Giants are somehow favored by 1.5. Okay. Fine. I'm taking the Raiders. Giants are finishing at 0-9 on the road. That's what's happening there. I'm taking the Raiders. And then we have what might be the game of the week. We might have the game of the week, although the Sunday night game is right there with it. But we have the 10-5 Philadelphia Eagles traveling to Buffalo to take on the 11-4 Buffalo Bills. I don't believe it because you guys know, if you follow me on any of my other shows or even here, you know how I feel about the Philadelphia Eagles. Hate the Philadelphia Eagles. Hate their fans. One of my least favorite teams in the whole league. But this weekend, I'm going to be rooting for those Philadelphia Eagles because I expect my Patriots to handle business against the terrible Jets. And if the Philadelphia Eagles can beat the Buffalo Bills, the Patriots will clinch the AFC East. So this weekend, I am a Philadelphia Eagles fan. I'm wearing the green. I mean, it's Red Sox green right now, but I am wearing their colors. This is just a happenstance. It's not on purpose but I will be rooting for the Philadelphia Eagles to handle business in Buffalo this weekend. And I actually think that the Philadelphia Eagles are going to win. I think Josh Allen will be the best player on the field. I think he's the best player on the field, period. But the Eagles, to me, still, even though they've struggled and they've haven't looked great at all at times, totality-wise, they're a better team. They're more talented. I think both coaches aren't great. I think McDermott, listen, man, we're getting close to the playoffs, so we'll talk about it. The path is there for the Bills, man. Josh Allen, you don't have Lamar in front of you. You don't have Joe Burrow in front of you. You don't have Mahomes in front of you. Yes, you get some young guns in there. You're going to have Bo Nix. You're going to have Drake May. You're going to have Trevor Lawrence. You're going to have some young guns like the next crop of great quarterbacks nipping at you. But listen, man, obviously it'll be harder if you're a 5 seed as opposed to a 1 or 2 seed if you don't win the division. But Josh Allen, man, this is laid out for you to get to the Super Bowl because you've always had to go through those guys and you haven't been able to get through them. They're not there for you anymore, man. You are going to be going into the playoffs as without question the best quarterback in the field. without question, you got to make it to the Super Bowl. And if the Bills don't, I think McDermott's got to go. But I think Philly's going to go into Buffalo and win this game. I think defensively they're better. I think offensively, from a talent perspective, they're better. I think the Bills have looked better on offense because the Eagles have. It's been painful at times. But I think the Eagles are going to win this game. But it should be a good one. It should be a doozy of a game. And then the Sunday night game should be equally as good. As we have the 11-4 Chicago Bears coming off a big overtime victory against their hated rivals, the Green Bay Packers, traveling to San Francisco to take on the 11-4 San Francisco 49ers. Kind of a team that's getting slept on a little bit. I feel like, myself included, I feel like we're all not talking about the 49ers as much as we should be. They're looking good here, man. They're looking like they're rounding into form at the right time. And you look at that NFC West, and you have the Seahawks who are in first place. They're 12-3. And then you have both the 49ers and the Rams at 11-4. You look at that division, that is a dominant division. 3 teams over 10 wins, over 11 wins technically. Man, that is incredible stuff. I think the Niners are going to hold court here. They're favored by 3. Look, the Bears have been on a great run. Caleb at the end of these games makes some plays and throws that are just like, my God, dude, insane. That throw that he made in overtime to win that game, that was about as perfect a throw as you'll see. And the way he can get away from some of the pass rush sometimes, it's like, whoa. This game should be good, but I think the Niners are going to take this, man. I think the Niners are going to win. And we'll see. We'll see what happens because that would move them to 12-4. We'll see if the Seahawks can beat the Panthers. And then the other team is traveling on the road. The Rams, 11-4. They are going to be in Atlanta Monday evening for the last Monday night game of the year, who are 6-9. The Rams are favored by 7.5 on the road. Matt Stafford, who's currently still the favorite to win the MVP, he reached 40 touchdowns last week, so he has 40 touchdowns and only 5 interceptions. Puka Nacua, 114 grabs, almost 1,600 yards already with 2 games to go. Like, just having massive seasons. Falcons are frisky. They've won some big games against opponents you wouldn't think they would win. But I look at the Rams, and I think that they're right up there with the class of the NFC. I'm picking the Rams to go on the road and kind of keep pace with the Niners and the Seahawks. And we get to that last week with all 3 of those teams within a game of that division, and we'll just kind of see how it goes. But I'm picking the Rams to win on Monday night. And that is going to round up the week. Again, less games to talk about on Sunday because we had the 3 games on Thursday. And then we are at the last week of the regular season, y'all. So next week when we are here, we'll be talking about Week 18. We'll have the playoff picture probably firmly in grasp for the most part. We can start talking what the playoffs are going to look like. Then the following week, we'll have our playoff preview, and then it's go time. I want to thank you all for watching. If you are watching on YouTube, click that bell for notifications so you get all the alerts and updates when we go live here at the Hive. We have content for you all every single day, whether it's here with the Swarm, or we have Pluggo with his college football picks. He also does his Saturday Night Live reviews. We have watch-alongs. Every Monday night, it is Josh and me for Raw. Every Wednesday night, it is Jamie and Peggy for NXT. We do all the PLEs. Tonight, it'll be Josh, Auntie Collins, and myself for Worlds End. NXT PLEs, it's usually Josh and Peggy. We do WWE with a rotating cast. We have the Buzz each and every single day here, where we show you little clips of the episodes when Jamie interviewing people all over this space. And then the full episodes come out on Friday. We have Stuart with I Don't Know Ball, also playing some hockey as well. He's playing some classic FIFA games as well. And then we have the Substack, where you get Peggy reviewing games. Over there, you got Bryn, Mike, and Josh talking about wrestling and all sorts of other stuff. Really, really good stuff. Really, really good stuff. So click that bell for notifications. Click a thumbs up on this video and all our videos if you're watching. It does a lot for us. It gets us out there to more people. We had a really good first 6 months. 2026, we're aiming to be even bigger, and it helps when you guys help us out by sharing us out, giving us the likes, giving us all that stuff as we can grow and bring you more and more great content, because we love bringing you this great content. So appreciate you all tuning in. And I will see you all next Saturday for another edition of The Swarm. Till then, enjoy the rest of the holiday weekend. Have a happy, wonderful new year, and I will see you next year. Peace out.